Hades, the Elysian fields, and Neptune, or Poseidon. The five rivers of Hades were Acheron, the river of sorrows, Cocytus, the river of lamentations, Phlegethon, the river that has fiery flames, Lethe, the river of oblivion, and Styx, the river of hatred. The first region of Pluto includes the daffodil meadows described in the Odyssey, where the shadows of the heroes wander hopelessly among lesser spirits which flutter around them like bats. Beyond this was Erebus, which may be regarded as a euphemism for Hades, whose name caused horror. There were two fountains, that of oblivion, where common souls flocked to erase all their memories, and the fountains of remembrance, where instead the mystics of the mysteries drank. In the courtyard of the painful palace of Hades and Persephone sit three judges of the underworld, Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Acchus, and there, a sacred place dedicated to Hecate, where three roads meet, souls are judged and returned to the meadows with asphodels if they are neither virtuous nor evil, sent to Tartarus if impious or evil, or led to the Elysian fields to join the heroic and the blessed ones. And according to Greek mythology, the Elysian fields were part of Hades, which was the final destination of the souls of the heroes and the virtuous. While Tartarus was a place of punishment, the Elysian fields were a heavenly place of flowery meadows where eternal spring reigned and the fountains of oblivion gushed forth nectar that made the dead forget all earthly tears and hardships. According to legend, Menelaus and the beautiful Helen, the Helen of Troy, as well as Cadmus and other Theban heroes, were there, meaning of course Hercules as well. Under the shade of myrtle, they practiced horse riding and athletics or played dice and music. Minos, brother of Rhadamanthus, reigned in the plain of Arrival, where they had brought the sleeping Saturn, who being drunk from drinking honey, had been captured and bound by Zeus. According to the Orphic hymns, Saturn reigned there with Rhea as his queen. The fork of scepter of Hades is the ultimate symbol of our mortality. Two elements dominate his de-symbolization, that's life and death. That is why it has 2 points. And despite the fact that in the Orphic hymn Pluto, or Hades, the third brother of Zeus, which means precisely this lack of God, Hades, where there is no Zeus, there is no life, it's mentioned that he belonged to the third class, like his other brother Poseidon, or Neptune, as we saw above. It's clear that there's a third class, and is implied the Chthonian, that is the underworld, the world that's shared by the three brothers, Zeus, Poseidon, and Pluto, as a third in line of succession to the kingdom of the world. The first king of the earth was Uranus, the second was his son Cronus, meaning Saturn, and the third of the line of succession was Cronus' son Zeus, who co-reigned with his two other elder brothers. And that's why the Orphic hymns to Poseidon and Pluto do not speak of kingdom, but of fate, of succession and inheritance. When the Greeks prayed to Pluto, they would clap their hands on the ground to make sure he was listening. Black animals, such as sheep, were sacrificed in his honor. The blood from the sacrifices to Hades dripped into a pit to reach him. The person offering the sacrifice had to turn his head. Every 100 years there were festivals in his honor. Returning to the fork of Hades, which was very badly later demonized and attributed to ignorant fanatics to be horns of Beelzebub in hell, we repeat that this scepter has only 2 prongs, that is, life and death, but at the same time symbolizes the possibility of deification and liberation from mortality. According to the prevailing version, in ancient iconography and vase painting, these 2 points of Pluto's spear are the 2 raising wings of the eagle, the deified soul, which flies free and immortal in the ether of Zeus. As is known, the eagle is a sacred bird of Zeus. The trident of Poseidon. Poseidon's ultimate weapon was his trident. A technologically advanced sea race, Poseidon used it to stir the sea, causing storms, to calm it, offering good and safe voyages to ships, as well as to shake up the earth, bringing earthquakes and tearing the earth in two. He used his weapon in the Titan battles, while in the war with the giants he cut off a piece of Kos, the island of Kos, in the Aegean Sea, which he crushed, with which he crushed the giant Polyvotis, which is, of course, the island of Nisros, which is a volcanic island, thus creating the volcanic island of Nisros. It would be good to point out that the trident was not the only weapon brought by the god. The trident, in addition, the techniques made for him a three-edged sword with which he created the seas, the islands, and while in the Iliad Homer describes to us the intervention of the god in favor of the Achaeans, advancing, holding in his hand a terrible long-bladed sword, the same as lightning, which not only was impossible for anyone to touch, but also the fear that provoked and kept men riveting. Nevertheless, we will stick to the analysis of the trident as a symbol, starting with what is symbolized then and what is evolved into later. Material and functional significance of the trident was a hunting tool and weapon of fishermen and fishermen used it as not changing until today. The trident's superiority over the harpoon is functional in that it prevents the prey from making movements to free itself, while its construction allows the spikes to sink into the target as much as they should, rather than in favor of utility. Also, its shape is reminiscent of a rowing boat paddle. So based on the functionality of this weapon, it was considered more appropriate to depict the model of the man-god in the capacity of Lord of the Seas. The trident as a symbol of the four elements. The trident symbolizes the four elements, each with each tip point of its construction. The earth was symbolized by the stem of the trident, which rests on the ground. Water, fire, and air are symbolized by the three spikes of the trident. The symbolism of the four elements is also seen in the 4-hour chariots, the chariots with 4 horses, of the 3 great gods, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, thus understanding that the great gods were masters in handling the 4 elements. Keep in mind that by saying 4 elements, the decoding is not only done on the material level, but also on the symbolic and psychological level, since each element symbolizes something different in the essence of our world. And here's what we mean by that. 1 is earth, the solid state, equal psychological sensing function, Taurus. 2 is hydro, meaning water, fluid state, psychological state of emotion, human. And the air, the ether, number 3, air, air conditioning, psychological function of thinking and intellect. 4 is fire, energy state, psychological state of intuition and divine ideas. While Pempousia is completed by ether, who we met at the point of the cross, and the trident has its 4 pointed ends joined in a cross. This is edited by Plotinus concerning these ancient mysteries. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.